If you've ever listened to this program, you know how often I'm wrong. Good morning, Rick Swink. You know how often I'm wrong. I mean, it's every segment, every other minute in every segment for 16 years now. It's the show. It's what it is. It's actually called Pete is Wrong. Well, Dame, I'm so used to being wrong that it generally doesn't bother me whatsoever. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, but I am listening with rapt attention. There's a wonderful intro. Please continue.
Good morning, Andy. Good morning, Jen Myers Howell. Sorry, I just felt like doing her whole name or government name. Dame, I've been quote unquote wrong on national television for the last 5 months about various economic topics. I'm the economic expert. I don't know if you knew this.
Add that to your LinkedIn, please.
Yes. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Jeremiah. So I go on TV and Pete, what is it's actually a very nice young woman who interviews me generally, but what do you think about the job? What's going to be in the jobs report? And I'm like, look, I'm skeptical. I think there'll be a rough jobs report. I think it's going to be a sign that the economy is slowing down and we got some labor force issues. Okay.
Continue.
And then jobs report comes out and it's like killer jobs report. And so then in the next month, I go on right before the jobs report. Pete, what do you think is going to be a jobs report? I'm like, you know what? Look, I'm telling you, with these tariffs, everything, jobs report is going to be terrible. Jobs report comes out. Jobs report's good. So this happens like 4 or 5 months in a row. Today, the July jobs report came out, Dame.
Mm-hmm.
And not only was it bad, but they revised previous month's jobs report significantly lower that would have made me right for the last several months on television if the numbers had been right at the time. And I'm really frustrated by that because I don't mind being wrong, but I don't want to eat a wrong when I'm right. Is that fair?
Totally is fair. I mean, it's not like there's a little retraction or a little, something they can throw in the chyron next time you're on the screen that says, by the way, Pete was actually right based on the revised numbers.
I was on there on Monday. I mean, look, I'll take an L. I'm a grown up. On Monday, I was on there. Hey, what do you think about the tariffs with Russia right now? And I said, hey, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even know anything about them. I'm glad you asked.
And they keep inviting you back.
Yeah. I'm telling, like, I'll take that. I'm like, oh, hey, today's expert doesn't know anything about anything. And I'll just be like, I don't know. And I just said that. And now come to find out, I've known what I'm talking about. It's frustrating.
The government was gaslighting you, essentially.
I have so many thoughts. I mean, I could do the whole show on the tariff stuff right now. I'm a little bit fired up. We maybe do a little bit. I mean, certainly. Who was that one guy who emailed me and said I'm like hardcore MAGA and he doesn't want to listen anymore? What was that guy's name?
Nobody knows.
It turns out I'm not. The guy just literally has the worst comprehension skills of all time. Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about misreading the situation. I just try to be as balanced as I can. Sometimes I fail. But I'll tell you this. I am shocked the economy grew at 3% in the second quarter.
Yeah, that was a bit of a eye-opening head shake, head scratch. How did that happen kind of report?
And so, not to be that guy, but at what point did that does it get revised down to a number of what I thought it would be after I've been wrong for 5 months on the air?
It's very possible. They go back and revise that.
They do.
Sometimes it takes a couple months to get there, but I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, you take it with a grain of salt when it's initially reported and then wait to see what truth settles out of it in the future.
Should I unleash all my hot tariff takes? Does anyone care? Just in the chat, do you care about what I think about tariffs? If the answer is no, you're not going to hurt my feelings. You'll probably just save emails coming to me. Do you care what I think about this whole thing? It's because it's a little. I'll say that. I'll give you as you wind up. I'll give you this, and it's a nuanced explanation. President Trump, show some respect, is currently winning the trade war. He is winning the trade war. In my perspective, he is winning. That being said, he's winning what he set out to do, not necessarily winning the overall thing, right? Like what he has set out to do, which is to turn the screws and bring in more tariff revenue, he is winning at that. Do I think it will lead to an overall victory for all of us? And the answer is absolutely not. But he is winning. And I think if you are like, hey, he always wins, he's winning this. He is currently winning. But it is nuts. Are we going to have any friends left in the world after this?
I'm hoping that's a rhetorical question.
You feel free to answer.
I mean, just so I think I'm understand, but I want to make sure I do. You're saying that President Trump is winning the battle he set out to fight.
Yes.
At the risk of potentially losing a bigger war.
If maybe that last part is different. So yes, he's winning out the battle he set to fight. And I think the downstream effect of that he has disregarded because of his focus on the first thing.
Okay.
I think we're alien. I mean, we are clearly in a protectionist sort of state where we're isolating ourselves from the rest of the world, our economic interest over others, which is also one of his goals.
Yes. Yeah. A very clearly stated goal. And we just talked about how it's really, really difficult to not only predict economic future and reality, but even when it's reported, sometimes we don't know if it's right, wrong, indifferent, or going to be revised as well. So frankly, I think it's gonna be a long time before the new normal settles out of all of these actions. We're going to see the initial consequences. Some of that's going to be tariff revenue. Some of it's going to be maybe a black eye amongst some countries around the world, depending on who you are, where you are, what your assigned tariff has been. I don't know if we're going to know the fallout of this for quite a while.
Yeah, that's also where I've been wrong, by the way. I mean, again, in the spirit of I'm an idiot. May 2nd is when I thought we'd really see some price increases, and we kind of didn't. I thought we saw other economic impacts from Liberation Day, but the reality of Liberation Day is that it punted everything to June, and then we punted everything to today, August 1st, and then yesterday we punted some of them till another 3 months with Mexico, something like that. 2 months.
One of the first things you learn in macroeconomics in college is that big macro policy changes like this, you don't typically see the majority of the results or the effects until 18-ish months down the road. So we still got a ways to go on this. And if they keep changing the game that we're playing, who knows when we're going to see what reality, the new normal, looks like.
By no means in my career have I negotiated anything the size of international tariffs. Okay, I haven't. I mean, to say I have and to draw a parallel between what I've negotiated and what the Trump administration is negotiating is just laughable, and I should be laughed off the podcast here. However, I will say this: the spirit of which moving of the goalposts and turning of the screws has occurred. I've never even sniffed the likes of that in a business negotiation. And it's in such bad faith that I know government is not business. It's like when you're at church and then people, like business people, get on the church board and then everything goes to hell. Right? Because it's like, well, it's a church. It's not a business. You can't run it like a business. And I think government, you can't exactly run like a business, but at the same time, man, I can't imagine being in a high stakes negotiation where you're just getting bullied. It's pretty wild. And maybe I'm a weenie, which is also actually, it's not a maybe. I am a weenie, but that just does not seem helpful.
Yeah, I mean, My experience negotiating international trade is the same as yours, and so I know what goes on behind the scenes, and what those discussions actually look like and the considerations that go into it. And I can't even feel reasonably confident giving some kind of an opinion on the performance thereof of the parties involved. But my gosh, I don't know. I don't know.
Speaking of being wrong, I pray that I'm wrong. I pray that I am crazy wrong. Just doesn't work for me. Okay. Boy, how many people have turned this off? By the way, little after school special note for you here. If you agree with me, great. It does it with all due respect, great. If you disagree with me, also great. I think it's good to get out of our echo chambers a little bit. You know what I mean? Most of what I listen to podcasts right now, wise, 2/3 I disagree with. 2/3 of the things I listen to on a regular basis, I disagree with. So hopefully, if I can rattle your cage a little bit on that.
Interesting.
I don't know why. And the weird thing is, when I used to do it, it used to be like a little bit of a negative. It kind of drained my energy. It's like, I don't just know. But now I've settled into this place of just going, huh. Well, that's the thinking. That's the passion. Because sometimes if you don't take time to understand the thinking, then the passion seems silly on the other side.
Sure.
Whatever the other side is to you. So I definitely have gotten past that. So that's been a nice thing.
I don't think most people have the patience to stick with that kind of exploration of opinions other than their own, what they're comfortable with. I know I certainly fall short from time to time, but it's not a great one when we're all so strapped for time and resources and energy and sanity. To subject yourself to thinking that is not in line with yours is a considerable task.
The two Fed governors that voted against the holding steady on rates, I disagree with them, but I read their dissent and I was like, man, that was actually really enlightening. And I'm really glad I read it. Like it was like, okay, yeah, I get that.
Nice.
We have a show. It's about, what is it about? Prepared meals. What's our show about here? Oh, Kristen's not here.
Yeah.
Anybody notice?
Surprise. Yeah. She's not here. We're talking about the phase of retirement that often goes overlooked.
Why did you, when you did the outline, you put radio 250801? Why did you write the date that way? What sort of weird military service have you completed?
I always put the year first.
Why?
So when I'm sorting something, year first, then the month, and then the day. It helps me organize chronologically better, because if you start with the month, you're going to end up with 5 years worth of Februaries before you get to what you're potentially looking for.
God, I saw this. I didn't know what was going on.
Am I nuts at doing year, month, day? I've
seen day, month, year. I've never seen year. I might be cranky today.
Yeah, old man cranky edition. Thank goodness Kristen's not here to experience that.
I could see the eye rolls. Let's do a show. Oh, let me get my
calculator.
Let me get my thing. Did I talk about Project Hail Mary last week on the show?
I don't think so.
So I'm not a sci-fi person by the nature of that. I like to talk to girls. I'm just kidding. By girls, I meant women. Not really a sci-fi reader, not my thing, but I enjoyed The Martian by Andy Weir, and then Project Hail Mary's coming out in the March with like Ryan Gosling as the main character. So I was like, I'll read it. It's one of the best books I ever read. Damn.
Really?
Am I a sci-fi guy now?
Well, you have to try another one to find out for sure.
I am. I read his third one called Artemis. It's not as good, but I'll tell you, Project Hail Mary was, I ignored my family as much as I could to finish that book.
All right. So strong book review for Project Hail Mary.
I don't think anyone cares what I'm reading. 3,
dangerously close to starting a book club.
2, 1. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions. Here's how the show works. You email us at askpete@petetheplanner.com. That's askpete@petetheplanner.com. We'll read your email on the air, and then we'll make the entire show about your email. By when I say your, I mean, well, if your name's Jeff, because that's the person's email we're answering today. I'm joined by mi hermano, Damian Dunn. Damian, hello.
Good day, Peter.
We are not actually blood. We are not actually related, as far as I know, but I refuse to give my DNA to a tech company who will then just sell it down the road. Kristen Alanius is on sabbatical. How long is she gone? Is she back next week?
Yeah, she's back next week. She will take a more of a sabbatical later this year, but it should be a 1 weeker this time.
A baby sabbatical. Dear Pete, I'm retiring next month from a small college. I'm editing as I go because that's some of the details I don't want to give here.
Oh, okay.
Throughout my almost 40-year working career, it rhymes, I have diligently followed the advice of financial experts and deposited 10% of my salary into a 401k.
Time out.
I'm wondering if I know what you're going to say here, but go right ahead.
There's two things I have to say, but go ahead. You're going to get at least one of them.
401k versus 403b?
That's number one.
And 10% being enough?
That's number two, actually, but I do have three. Do you know what the third one is?
No. Go ahead and surprise me with the third.
It's narcissistic.
What?
The advice of financial experts. He should have said the advice of you, Pete. And most of that has been matched by my employers. Now that I'm about to rely on that money to sustain me during retirement, I'm seeking advice. You should talk to the expert on the appropriate strategy to use for depleting a 401k. 403b is likely what he has, but it doesn't matter.
He could have a 401k. Now, can have 401ks.
I found that the holders of my retirement accounts, by the way, those are called record keepers for those not in the biz, think 4-letter acronym with an HQ in North Carolina.
Are we going to guess these?
No, I don't see the. I mean, we can just no.
Okay.
A small company with an HQ in a small town outside of Philly and a mutual fund giant based in Boston are all very good about giving me advice on how to save for retirement, but offer little to no advice on how to spend those savings once you're retired.
Time out.
Okay.
This is one of the trickiest parts of this. There's a word phrase here that actually gets to the essence of this challenge. How to spend those savings once you're retired. I would go with the phrase distribute as opposed to spend, because, and again, I'm splitting hairs and I am taking it way too far because I am still in the spirit of what this person is saying, but he doesn't have a spending issue. He's trying to figure out distribution.
Yes.
Perhaps you, Christine, and Damian can help fill the void. Some questions I'm seeking answers for include, are you writing these down, Dave?
Yes.
Is this segment over yet? What percentage of my 401k should I withdraw each year? Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
Or should I use a different approach than a fixed percentage? We can definitely answer that. That's two questions. Should I deplete my after-tax accounts first or pull from the 401k accounts first? Okay, so this means the man has some Roth products, right?
Yes, or non-qualified.
Sure. Should I move everything into a very conservative assets or keep a certain amount in growth stocks? And then there are other questions I should be asking. Okay, Dame, again, you said 3 questions. That's 5. Not a math professor. I will be grateful for any thoughts you or your dynamic duo can provide. Regards, Jeff. Jeff, I'm just messing with you. Just teasing. Cranky Pete today.
Yes.
What jumps to you, my friend?
There is a really interesting shift when you move from accumulation to decumulation mentally, because I mean, when you're working, you are given assistance and advice, and people are coming to your work to help you figure out how you're going to save more, and are you hitting that target to get you to the retirement that you envision, and then you retire. And the industry's kind of silent
Totally.
once you retire.
Man, I've got a million thoughts on this. I wish I had a radio show and podcast to get them all out on. Can we note that it is obvious to me, especially where I know this person professes. I was going to say teaches, but does the professor teach or they profess?
I don't know. Proclaim?
Clearly a very intelligent person.
Yeah.
I mean, wildly intelligent. It's a great school. But there's so many little elements of personal finance and invest in financial planning that are misconstrued here that it really proves the point to me that even the smartest people need help at the distribution phase of their financial lives. This person clearly for 40 years got some advice from some of these companies and was able to really do it. And, I'll really in a really good job. We don't know balances, but I still get the sense that they're in a really good position.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting that you say that because your money aptitude doesn't have to be in lockstep with your overall specialty aptitude at all. I remember very, very early in my career was trying to learn how to run operations for an independent financial advisor. And a very successful medical professional walked into our office that they'd had a relationship for a while and just retired. Walked in very upset and didn't understand why he wasn't still getting a paycheck at that point. Because they had covered what was going to be available and how much money they could spend and the goals they were still going to be able to do and accomplish in retirement. And they hadn't gone to the part of how that was actually going to translate, that those dollars were going to be there. And it is sometimes overlooked by financial professionals, even with the best of intentions, to make sure that their clients are in a great spot and understand what's going to happen with potentially their most prized possession, the retirement assets that they've built up over all those years. So communication definitely needs to be ingrained as a top priority for everybody involved.
I don't know if this occurred to you in the planning of the show or just now like it did for me since I just looked at the plan for the show. But we're going to be all over the place on this episode. I mean, we're going to get to the heart of how do you take money out of your retirement plan and your assets and for that matter, Social Security, and how do you actually create an income strategy for retirement? Mm-hmm. That's the heart of what we're doing today. But we're going to be going all over the place. And Dame, I think the point you just made is maybe the strongest point we're going to talk about today is that this gentleman, Jeff, spent 40 years, and I'll go with it, perfecting accumulation, mm-hmm. at least attempting to perfect accumulation, with understandably no thought towards distribution or decumulation, as you called it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the conundrum. And I'd venture a guess, if we're making up percentages, venture a guess of saying 95, 98% of people are in this exact same situation, but they aren't wise enough to name it like Jeff was.
Yeah. And decumulation is way trickier than accumulation.
It really is, especially when you are proud of yourself, understandably and appropriately, for the job you did in accumulation. I described it yesterday with our friend Tyler, I believe, or it was a different webinar I was doing. I view retirement planning like training for a marathon and then retirement like running the marathon. And so often retirement feels like the finish line. So it's with that idea that we'll come back after the break. How do you actually distribute your retirement? That is next on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm PTP. This portion of the program is brought to you by Herculean Prepared Meals. Today is steak and eggs day here in my face. Look, I'm busy. I like really delicious food. And at this point in my life, I like really nutritious food. It's going to make me healthy. And I like convenience. And so it's with those four issues that I'm dealing with that I want Herculean prepared meals in my face every single day. Every day, honestly, every Monday through Friday for the last 3 or 4 months, that's what I've eaten. I'm down about 30 pounds. They are not a weight loss organization, but I can tell you this, when you watch what you eat and they're good macros, it is good for you. Yesterday, I tried for the first time the smoked pork mac and cheese.
Oh,
And it was in my face and it went down my gullet and it was delicious. And you're wondering, 30 grams of protein, 51 grams of carbs, and 14 grams of fat. You can have this delivered to your door, frozen. They are frozen. They are frozen. They are flash frozen. And after 3 minutes and 45 seconds and peeling back the film, you'll be jamming hot food into your face. That's Herculean prepared meals, the best part of every day of my life. Dude, I'll tell you, sometimes it's true.
I've seen some of the meals that are in the freezer down there. They look delicious.
Today's steak and eggs day for me. It's like ribeye that's chopped up in like an egg with some pesto and some cotija cheese on top, all over roasted potatoes. And I love it. And our colleague Molly loves to mock me for eating steak and eggs for lunch, and I just roll my eyes.
She's clearly never had it for lunch.
She hasn't, but she should. Some of you have actually texted me or emailed me with pictures of you buying Herculean prepared meals. So if you go, just tell them Pete sent you. Dave, my anniversary was this past week.
Happy anniversary.
And I gave you a little bit of context off the air last week of my ring situation I was dealing with. You want to hear the conclusion of this story?
Yes.
So I saved up. I purchased a nice ring for my wife for our 25th anniversary. Of course, I planned, so I ordered it in June. Not only did I order it in June, but when I was there in June, I went to the computer, their system, which we've been buying jewelry for a very long time, and they noted her ring size. Size is there because every purchase it was there.
Nice.
Then I was having her engagement ring sort of polished up and stuff for her. That was the guise of me, this whole thing, because I'm a planner. So I had him remeasure that because I'm about to order a ring. She's got very thin fingers, or not thin, narrow. What cylindrical? What she got?
Tiny fingers.
Ah, it sounds like cornichons. And so anyway, they measure that ring. So I order that ring size. Takes a long time because they gotta whatever, schmelt it. Comes in. Do a whole little presentation on the anniversary. You know, overdone, annoying, self-indulgent. You guys know me.
Romantic.
Self-indulgent.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she goes to slide it on, and it gets like just below 1, 2. Would you count top from the finger to count knuckles? What do you 1, 2? What do you go from the bottom?
The big knuckle.
Okay, the big knuckle, still slender, and and she gets it on, and her finger starts swelling up like a kielbasa.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh my God. Literally, I think I've talked about this on the show before. I love to do nice things for my wife. I really genuinely do. The number of times in my life that it's backfired is just laughable. I can't win. So anyway, didn't fit. And fortunately she can go, and she's getting it stretched, and we'll get it back today or whatever. But I took the hard L. I was upset for like 3 hours about it. I'm still upset about it, clearly.
Yeah.
You know what the funny part, the gift of the Magi part of this? She bought me a silicone sort of workout wedding band, you know, because I've been working out a lot. And it was too small as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we don't understand the girth of each other's fingers.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Well,
yeah. Want to do the next segment?
Yeah, then talk about the alternative. Talk about your wife's fingers more.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I tried.
I think you succeeded, Pete.
I don't know, man.
How are you
going to backfire?
You couldn't have had her try it on before you gave it to her to know.
I double system went to the computer with almost 3 decades of data physically measured and still failed.
I don't think that's your fault.
It feels like my fault.
I bet there was
fault
a
is it?
manufacturing process.
The measuring process?
No, I think in the artisanal creation of that
Jeez.
ring, I think there was I think they
cheese?
messed up. I think it was too small.
Thanks, buddy. Do your stuff ever backfire? I feel like you nail it.
I mean, I'm sure I could if Mrs. Advice is watching, I'm sure she could chime in and let us know, or text me and be kind to my soul if I've seriously backfired, and I'll share it. But that's wonderful, Danza. Thank you. I've solved that issue by just not doing anything nice for my spouse very often.
You know what? I don't believe that. Your wife's so great. If you don't do nice things, she'd be out.
That's true.
Okay. Danza, that's really funny. Danza puts, it's not your fault, but it is your problem, which is the title to my new book, which is really funny. Danza. I'm upset, but that was funny. 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show. Great question from someone who's retiring after a 40-year professorship. They were a professor at a liberal arts college. And what we didn't say to Jeff, the emailer, in the first segment is, congrats, brother. I mean, that's insane. Dame, we always kind of laugh. There's two moments in life that go as it relates to finances that really warrant more celebration than they get. Number one's paying off your mortgage, which no one tends to give a rip about. They should. Then the second one is retiring successfully, which is one of the hardest things to do. And so, Jeff, congrats for that. The question was, got a bunch of stuff. I don't know how to do this. So let's get there. Let's start with, he's got a lot of questions. How much should I withdraw? Dame, how much should Jeff withdraw? Do we want to just use $1 million as our round number here? Is that helpful, or is that too unapproachable? So we do 500,000.
No, let's just stick with $1 million. It's a little easier to roll with that. And over 40 years, hopefully, and 10% consistently, hopefully that's a reasonable number as well. The rule of thumb, and Pete, I know how you feel about rules of thumb, just as much as I do. 4% rule was always the rule of thumb, meaning that if you can take the balance of your account on December 31st, you can plan on spending 4% of that over the next year, and given average markets, you should be okay for at least 30 years. What research shows is that you're often well prepared for an additional time period beyond 30 years, but a lot of that has to do with some of the other components that go into it. How are you invested? When did you start taking the money out? Which we'll talk about that in the next segment potentially as well. But the 4% rule has been around forever, and it's just a good place to start to say, am I even close to being on track? If I can make the 4% rule work, I'm probably reasonably on target to be able to retire.
You know where people always outsmart themselves on this one? And I mean, again, Jeff, by all accounts, is a very smart person. Like, I have no doubts about that. But this is where smart people ruin this. They'll say, yeah, but I'm not likely to live 30 years, so let's take more money out. Or they'll say, well, I don't want to leave anything behind that doesn't matter to me, so let's take more money out.
Sure.
And it's that not knowing when you're going to die, and then they'll try to get into, well, my grandpa died when he was, my grandma died when, I've got cirrhosis, I don't even know any disease. And then you start doing all this stuff, and then you mess around and you take the wrong amount out, and then you're proven right if you die, and you're proven wrong if you live, and you never want to be proven wrong if you live.
This is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to financial planning, is knowing how long you got to plan for. If you go to a financial planner and you say, I can guarantee that I only need money for the next 10 years, they will love you forever, because they have a big answer to the puzzle that is retirement planning. How long do you need the cash? When we're talking about somebody moving into retirement and having an open-ended need for cash, it gets a little iffy at that point. We can't tell you roughly how much you should be taking out. We would love for people to be able to spend those first few years out of retirement, the go-go years out of retirement, being able to go out and enjoy and travel and do whatever they want, because we know it's going to be followed by slow go and then no go years after that. And I can't take credit for any of those. I heard it on a podcast. I've seen it in print. Don't know who came up with it first, but I really kind of like them.
That always messes me up too.
Go-
That I didn't come up with that, and
Yeah.
it really bothers me.
Yeah, it's really good.
So let's talk about another aspect of this, Dame, that is inevitably going through a person's mind. Let's say you got $1 million. Would you agree to the average person and above average person, $1 million sounds like a lot of money?
Yes.
Okay. I agree. I was clearly leading the witness, but I also feel that way. Do you believe that $40,000 a year of income sounds like a lot of money?
No.
No. And look, I'm not here to say whether it is or it isn't, but how a person is moved by the phrase $1 million and how a person is moved by the phrase of $40,000 a year of income, those are different movements. And that becomes the other problem here, is that Jeff looks at this and says, I was making X dollars a year as a professor. I have no idea what a liberal arts professor at a small, I have no idea what they make. I don't ever want to guess because I don't want to insult anybody, right? Like I just have no idea. I'm going to Google it by ChatGPT. But Dame, so let's say this person's Social Security income, let's say they have a life partner. They're at that age. Let's put $4,000 a month total for Social Security. Just to be very conservative.
40 years of work. I
go
higher than 2 for, well, I guess you're not ascribing
income to the spouse.
So, okay, let's go with 4.
Yeah, just for giggles.
Sure.
$4,000, $48,000 a year. Got $1 million. They're stacking 40 on top of that, and now they're at $88,000, $84,000, 88. What my math? $88,000. You see that short circuit on a Friday?
That was great.
Oh, my head's smoking. $88,000 of income. I would guess, again, this is our job. The person does not have a mortgage. I would guess that their expenses are greatly reduced.
Mm-hmm.
And I would guess their after-tax income to be somewhere in the $5,000 a month, maybe a little bit more range. You think
I don't think that's unreasonable. Yeah.
And it's not for me to say that's enough to retire, but I'm saying based on the lifestyle of a college professor, not knowing exactly what they make, that's a feasible, doable situation. And to the point of the email, his job at this point is just to not mess it up.
Yeah.
Am I missing something here? Because he never asked us, because he didn't give us the totals of his assets, but this seems like a wholly achievable retirement situation. I'm not struggling to see the retirement confidence issues or success issues, but I am wondering how can he mess this up? He can mess this up if he doesn't have $1 million. He's got $500,000 and he still tries to get $40,000 a year out of it, which is 8%. That's where this thing just gets blown up.
Yeah, if we're way off on expenses, that's a potential big issue. Yeah. If there are some spending issues in the first couple of years that are paired with bad market returns, that could potentially be a big issue. If we're in the ballpark on some of the estimates that we've made, I think there's a really high likelihood that things are going to work out just fine for Jeff in this case. Now, some of the other questions I asked, around an efficient withdrawal order, what kind of assets do you focus on first? There may be some discussion there, but again, it would be really helpful if we knew how much was in each of those pools and what those pools actually consisted of. But Yeah, I mean, there are issues. And by the way, the 4% rule, not the end of the conversation. You can do a guardrails based approach. You can do a more risk based approach. There are a few different ways. The 4%, just a mathematical estimate to get you to know if you're in the ballpark.
Yeah, it's I don't want to say it doesn't matter the order of which this person takes their income from what pools. I think the question maybe we'll talk about when we come back after the break is the one thing that they didn't really mention. Do they want to leave an estate? Do they want to leave a legacy? Are they trying to grow it in that regard? Or is this just a one and done situation? We'll do that next, right here on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. I just chat GPT'd. Which is a tenured professor make a small liberal arts college.
And
it was exactly what I thought. I mean, my guess was in the middle of the range that it showed. What's your guess?
Do you want me to slack it to you or say it?
Oh, we can say it. I mean, I just didn't want to do it on the radio for some reason. I don't know. I'm an idiot. And nothing I'm saying makes sense.
80.
My guess was 90. It's 70 to 110.
Okay. So I was right there too.
Humanities, social sciences are on the lower end of the scale. Natural sciences and computer sciences and econ are on the higher end of the scale.
Sure.
The average is 95,000. Oh, there you go. So that's in line with the economics of how I'm thinking about this.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if we could try and deconstruct what the contributions would have looked like over 40 years. But that's going to be way too much work.
All right, I got this.
You going to try and GPT it?
Yep. All right, let's say a professor saved 10% of their income. This is such good radio.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
40 years. I'm going to say their ending salary. Oh, this is going to be great. This is why we are not going to have jobs someday. Their ending salary is $95,000, assuming an 8% rate of return. Are you comfortable with that?
Yep.
Rate of return. And the likely starting salary, in what year would that have been? 1985. Is that right?
Yeah.
With the math? Okay. What is the balance of the retirement account? Qualified retirement account. Boy, is this either this riveting, like Project Hail Mary, or people are switching over to something else?
Yeah.
Okay, my computer is smoking right now. All right, so just thinking about it. Do you have a guess? Do you want to guess?
Oh man. 1.4.
Oh. I'm going to go 875,000.
Oh boy. One of us is going to look really bad.
Okay. It paused. It said, let's break this down. And then it paused. So now it's on it. Okay. It's on it. It's going. We're not going to have jobs. We're not going to have jobs.
We may not have a podcast either.
Dude, I'm not kidding. Matt Damon feels like he's sketching on a blackboard here right now. Okay. Are you ready? We got it.
And
this is intense. I got to send you, there's letters and numbers I've never even seen. $900,000. Who is your boy?
I think Jeff was a better investor than that. He got closer to 1.4.
Based on what? The 8%? More than 8%?
I don't know. I'm just trying to save face, Pete. Thanks.
Jeff, if you're listening to this and you're not so insulted by everything else we've said about your situation, look, no one knows who you are. Can you email me and tell you what your balance is and also your social security number? All right, Dame, are you ready to go?
It's not unreasonable to think that he would have done better than 8, but I think 8's pretty conservative. But
Jen, did you include the match?
Oh, we didn't. Oh, it's starting to feel a lot better for my number.
Okay, this time. Oh, what do you think the match is?
Just give him like an extra 2%. I don't know how much the average match is at a small liberal arts college.
What are the chances this is good show? I mean, we're dwindling to like 7% chance that anyone gives a rip about this. And
I haven't gotten any messages from our producer yet, so either he's asleep at the wheel or he's just as enthralled as we are.
All right. It said for the first 5 years, we're going to employ it was 4%. For the remaining 35 years, we're going to say it was 8% based on trends of liberal arts matches.
Okay. Well, Mrs. Advice just sent me a message and said they take better care of employees than what our initial estimate was for.
Jen says she has
match, so.
somewhere to be in 15 minutes. All right. Oh, no. 1.5 million.
Oh, hey. What do you know?
3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show. Just doing a little math off the air. Turns out I'm due to have no head on my hair within the next couple of months due to stress. Listen, Jeff emailed us, had worked for a small liberal arts school for 40 years and was trying to figure out how to not mess up the distribution phase. Dame, as we talked earlier in the show, most people are they find themselves comfortable by the end of the accumulation phase.
Mm-hmm.
And the distribution phase is so wildly different that they sort of freak out. So there's some questions we need to make sure we talk about here, or answers. Number one, I do want to talk about the concept of annuitization, and I want to talk about the concept of pensions here in a moment. But maybe let's start with this idea of how conservative should Jeff be? He's like, do I just be very conservative and then go and put a little bit at risk? I mean, the reality is, Dame, right now, money markets are paying north of 4% with current interest rates, which would satisfy his 4% rule to some level. How does someone choose? I got to assume it's based on their risk tolerance from the previous 40 years of investing.
Yeah, I mean, the risk tolerance definitely plays some factor into the answer to this question. Some of it has to do with the other goals that you've got for the cash that you've accumulated as well. You want to spend every penny of it, or at least as much as you can before you move on to post-retirement. Do you want to leave cash to somebody else? That might influence how you're going to invest the dollars as well. How much you have to start with is going to be a big factor in that. I mean, if you've got a ton of money, way more than you need to hit your retirement goals, your annual income retirement goal, you can afford to be a little bit more conservative, which might sound counterintuitive. But if you don't have quite as much or enough as much margin in how much you've saved, you've got to plan for some growth. You have to be able to grow that money that you're not spending so that you can keep up with the potential downs when they eventually happen in retirement as well, which might be really uncomfortable for some people. I understand that, but growth is an often overlooked component when it comes to making sure that you have a stable retirement income experience.
You know what's interesting here is this idea that in accumulation, I'm willing to calculate based on what I've saved and what I'm committed to saving, what's the minimum amount of return I need to get on an annual basis. And I think that is a reasonable way to invest. What I just heard my brother say is that in decumulation, do the same thing. What's to accomplish my goals, what rate of return do I need? And then don't do anything more than that if you've got enough assets. Like why? Maybe the answer is 2%. Maybe it's 2%. If it's 2%, by the way, a balance of 1.5 million, that's $60,000, $5,000 a month of income. And now that, along with Social Security, Dame, literally recreates the person's income.
Sure. And we've talked about this document before on the show, an investment policy statement, IPS. And that can help you guide the decisions that you're going to make in retirement, because once you know that target return that you need to make all of this work out, you can start to say, okay, I can accomplish that by doing X, Y, and Z, and I don't have to worry about these other things. And this is the amount of risk that I need to take to accomplish this. And it really helps streamline things anywhere from the investment decisions that you're making to the emotional side of things, knowing that you don't have to wring every single opportunity you can get out of your portfolio. You just have to hit that target or be within a certain range of that target. And that can very, very much help not only you as the account owner, the person experiencing retirement, but if you choose to seek professional assistance going through this, keeps them on target as well by not exposing you to additional risk while making sure that you take the appropriate amount of risk at the same time.
I do think this person, Jeff, should talk to a professional. I'm not insisting, but I think it's a good idea. And it's also under this idea. Dame, he mentioned 3 different accounts, at least. People trying to distribute money from 3 different accounts through 3 different allocations and then coming up on RMDs at some point is an absolute recipe for disaster.
Sure. You've got to know, you got to stay on top of a few different things, but he also talked about a strategy on where you're going to take money from. There might be a very, very good reason to take money out of one account or prioritize taking money out of one account based on the balances that you're seeing there, as well as what the expected income is in retirement as well, to try and maybe set up distributions from accounts in a way that's going to minimize your overall tax burden. So there's not one blanket statement that I can tell you on this is how you're going to do it, because it's a little bit more nuanced than that. But you could absolutely get that strategy by sitting down with a financial professional, certified financial planner practitioner, preferably, and let them run the numbers and say, hey, based on what you want to do, here are the resources, here's the money it's going to take, and based on the account balances you've got in these different classifications, here's how we're going to go about doing it. And it even talks about asset location at that point, making sure that you've got the right assets in the right accounts to make sure that you're going to either have a tax efficient experience in retirement, or that you're going to be able to pass on dollars to people after you move on from retirement in the way that you want to as well.
Sometimes when people are in this situation, they will purchase an insurance product called an annuity. Annuities are issued by insurance companies, yet they serve as a form of investment. And there's 2 main ways of which a person can create an income stream off an annuity. The first is very similar to what we've just talked about here, which is just to take withdrawals on a structured or an unstructured basis. And that's wildly common. Another way to do it, especially when there's risk that you'd love to sell, you'd love to buy the transfer of the risk is the better way to say that, is people do what's called annuitization, which is they give up most of the access to the principal and then just take a payment for the rest of their life in the form that feels like a pension or it feels like Social Security. Now, I'm going to make a sweeping statement here that you should talk to your financial advisor about, but when you have just barely enough to not exactly enough, I think an annuity makes more sense. When you got more than you need, I think you have more flexibility outside of an annuity. Dame, how many emails am I getting?
I don't think you're too far off on that. If you're in the camp where you've got a significant amount of assets, I think there's still room for a potential annuity purchase in that scenario, because you could say, you know what, I just want my living essentials covered. I guaranteed. I want to make sure that check shows up to cover X, Y, and Z every month.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play around the margins with everything else after that. And if I have great years, great. If I don't, I won't spend as much and I'll be fine. But I want to make sure there's roof over my head, food on my table. I've got enough for healthcare, all of that stuff. And then whatever's left over, we'll go have fun with, or I'll give away, or whatever it is. So I think there's room for annuities in just about any. I'm not saying up here everybody should have one, but I think there's a reasonable option for annuities.
And then to use them right. It's not just, oh, now I have one. It's, are you going to annuitize versus are you going to create just a normal distribution stream? As we wrap this question and segment and show, and as we head on to our Blom and news segment, Dame, I still think the biggest question I have for this situation is, what are Jeff's goals?
Yeah.
Does he want to leave an estate to someone?
Mhm.
Because then the strategy you just said of like, I'm just going to take what I need to live on and the rest can grow and grow and grow and grow. That is a brilliant technique to grow an estate. And speaking of life insurance products, buying life insurance as a leverage point to grow an estate is a wild way to go, and not in a negative way. Let's do this. Coming up after the break, the biggest waste of money of the week. If I remember correctly, Dame, you're an ice cream freak?
Sure.
Well, then you'll love this product. That's all next on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. No?
I mean,
Do you own a Ninja Creamy?
no.
Do you have ice cream in your fridge right now? Freezer?
No.
Okay, I'm wrong. I'm not really an ice cream person either.
I mean, I
wouldn't say no.
I don't say no if somebody says, "Hey, we got some ice cream," especially if it's going to be some soft serve. But
that was my nickname when I played tennis.
Soft serve, yeah. We can't keep ice cream in the house because I will eat it. So, but I don't stray. I like the straight ahead stuff. I like vanilla. I like
This isn't surprising, Dame.
cookies and cream, cookie dough.
You don't strike me as a rum raisin fella.
No, butter pecan.
Butter pecan is the oldest white guy flavor in the world.
It's all right. I represent that remark, so that's fine.
Okay. Dame, there was a discussion in the office yesterday, a little bit of a hip hop R&B discussion, and I want to know if this is within your wheelhouse or not. I'm going to go, no way. There's no way you know what I'm about to inquire. Are you ready?
Chances are very, very low, but you can ask and we'll see.
Do you know the musician CeeLo Green?
Yes.
Okay, not the question.
Oh my God.
It's the setup. Do you know that CeeLo Green was a member of the supergroup Gnarls Barkley?
Yes.
Okay, then I was wrong. You knew. Can you name
Crazy, right?
what?
It's crazy.
Sure. Can you name the other member of the supergroup Gnarls Barkley? This is for, I mean, if you know this, like I'd be blown away. Only 2 people in the office did this. Maybe.
No, I'd just be throwing names out at this point.
Danger Mouse.
Kenny Rogers was going to be my first guess.
Danger Mouse, for those that care, took the Beatles' White Album, Jay-Z's Black Album,
slammed them together,
used the music from the White Album and the lyrics of the Black Album, and created an album called the Gray Album that is one of the greatest albums of all time.
Are you surprised I knew that?
No, I don't know why, but no.
I cannot impress you.
I'm so far deeply impressed with you, Dame, that now you're just going working backwards.
Sure. Okay.
Have you ever eaten a raccoon?
Is that code for something?
No, sir, it's not.
No, I have not.
Like, okay, just checking. You ready to go? 3.
Now I'm thinking about raccoon.
2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week, right here on the Pete the Planner Show, is the nude ice cube ice cream cup. When it comes to hospitality, presentation is almost as always. Oh, let's start over. When it comes to hospitality, presentation is almost as important as what you are presenting.
Time out.
Do you buy that? Wait, let me say that again. I mean, when it comes to hospitality, presentation is almost as important as what you are presenting. Does that make sense?
No,
I don't either. Crafted from lead-free crystal, this rectangular ice cream cup is designed to resemble a block of frozen water.
Time out.
There is a word for that.
I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Ice.
Oh.
It features a highly polished, multifaceted finish to give dessert a significant Upgrade. Okay, so I mean, no, if I don't want to be a hater, that's the worst copy we've read on this show in a really long time.
It wasn't good. No.
Mary in the chat asked, does anyone remember Linder's ice cream? Oh, you bet you I remember Linder's ice cream. There was one down the road from my house, and I liked ice cream then. Dame, what do you think this block of frozen water canoed out to hold ice cream? This basically looks like the troughs at IMS in the men's restroom, but made of frozen water. What do you think one of these things costs?
First of all, I wouldn't eat anything in that whatever that is.
Falling off the side.
It's none of that is appealing.
You don't think so?
No.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, $20.
$85. It's so dumb. It's like you can eat ice cream out of an upside down miniature plastic baseball helmet, and that's the only vessel you should consume ice cream in.
I've got zero arguments against that.
Dane, what's in the news this week?
In a death knell for social media accounts tracking the stock picks of elected representatives, a Senate committee voted Wednesday to advance a bill that would ban members of Congress and their spouses, as well as future presidents and vice presidents, from trading and eventually even holding stocks. The bill sponsors Republican Senator Josh Hawley said it was necessary to prevent lawmakers from trading on inside scoops they get on the job. Almost a fifth of lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have traded stocks related to their legislative work, according to a 2022 New York Times analysis. Not everyone wants to delete their Robinhood accounts yet, though. Hawley was the only GOP lawmaker on the committee to support it. Meanwhile, all committee Democrats voted for the bill and even received the endorsement of Nancy Pelosi, whom Hawley originally named the bill after, in reference to her husband's stock trades, which have attracted widespread scrutiny. The public wants a ban, with polls showing that over 86% of Americans support one.
So I've done some reading on this, but unfortunately in the land that we live in today, I can't say with 100% accuracy what I read is correct, but I'm going to share it with you, not that you perpetuate what I've read.
Okay.
But I have some confidence in what I'm saying is true. I'm at a 95%, but on something this polarizing, I don't want to upset anybody.
Okay.
You know, Nancy Pelosi was being interviewed about this, I believe, yesterday. And her feet were put to the fire a little bit about this. And she said something to the effect of, this isn't my problem. This is what my husband likes to do, which didn't feel like it helps the argument. You know what I mean?
No.
And then the second idea that is interesting to share here, the bill, from my understanding, also prevents the president and vice president from benefiting from this. But the way the legislation is written, it actually excludes the current president and vice president. Do you believe that to be the understanding as well?
Yeah, in the version of an article I read, admittedly, I think it was a couple of days ago when I read this, and it may have changed. It would take effect after the next election for each person. So the clock is ticking. Go and make your money while you can. So representatives have another year and a half. Senators may have anywhere from a year and a half to 5.5 years, and the president and the vice president, well, president's got 3.5 years, and the VP has at least 3.5 years.
This is why Richard Lugar was the greatest statesman for you Indiana folk, because he refused to have investment holdings for this very reason. And I mean, he's an admirable figure in our country's history for a lot of reasons, especially our state's history. But as far as Dame and I are concerned, with that level of financial ethics, that's also admirable. What else is in the news?
This one's a bit of a long one. I'm going to try and edit it as much as I can, but it's a really interesting topic, concept, I should say, that I'm not entirely sure where we're going to fall on. Shoppers in Norway are seeing something new and maybe a little unnerving at the grocery store. At Rema 1000, one of the country's biggest grocery chains, digital price tags line the shelves and can change in real time. We're talking up to 100 price changes a day on a single item. The price of milk or eggs might drop by 10 cents, blink, and then bounce again minutes later, especially during holidays when stores are competing aggressively against each other. The system's designed to beat the competition with the touch of a button, lower the price, wait for the rival store to match, and repeat. It's a race to the bottom, or at least to the cheapest cucumber. Experts say it's just a matter of time before we see the same thing here in the US, but not everyone's convinced it's the whole story. As lawmakers have raised red flags, warning the tech could lead to surge pricing like what you see with Uber or airline tickets. Imagine ice cream prices jumping on a hot day or party supplies spiking before a big game. It's enough to make people nervous, and companies like Kroger and Whole Foods have been quick to insist, we're not doing that. So it's worth noting dynamic pricing isn't necessarily gouging. In some stores in Europe, the system is used to fight food waste. For example, in Netherlands, the Albert Heijn chain cuts prices up to 4 times a day on items nearing expiration. It helps them clear inventory and saves over 500,000 pounds of food each year. What a great idea. Anyway, I'll skip the rest of it, but dynamic pricing for grocery items, Pete, what do we think?
The butcher counter at the store where I buy nice meats has this.
Really?
And I don't stare at it long enough to know if it's changing in real time, but it definitely changes from week to week.
Yeah.
My view of this is interesting. Where was the country where Albert Hygiene? What was that?
I think it was Norway, if I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know the capitalistic tendencies of the Norwegians. Great.
Netherlands.
Oh, well, neither the Netherlands.
Yeah.
But I do think that the capitalistic nature of Americans does make one skeptical of this compared to the Netherlands. Right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think about the families that are just scraping to try and make this work, that are going there with a budget and they know exactly what they can spend. And by the time they gather everything and get it up to the checkout, they may be off. The prices may have changed from the time they start their shopping, pick an item up off the shelf, to the time they get to the cashier. It just doesn't seem sustainable to me.
I'm a capitalist. I am, and
Yeah.
I don't say it. I don't feel like there's shame in it. I think there are elements of capitalism that can get gross. This feels adjacent to that.
I'm not the biggest fan of this idea. I too am a capitalist.
One more, Dane. What else is in the news?
Microsoft became the world's second $4 trillion company. The tech giant crossed the market cap milestone as investors reacted to its fourth quarter earnings report, which showed high growth in its cloud computing services, bolstered by demand for AI. It joined NVIDIA in the $4 trillion tier.
Well, NVIDIA is getting smacked in the teeth this morning thanks to all of the jobs and tariff madness, and so is Microsoft.
Hey,
that's good. Will we know anything next week, Dame, about the impact of all of these new tariffs? The answer is no, of course not. Kristen might be back to bring sanity to the show. Maybe she won't. No one knows. Do you know, Dame?
She'll be back.
Okay. That's it, everybody. Send you good vibes because good vibes are all that's in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner, and this is the Pete the Planner Show. All right. Well, there's that.
There it was.
Quincy says, I've seen digital price tags in a grocery store or two down here in Evansville.
Yep. The article had a piece in it that said they were starting to roll out in different stores across the country, but they haven't gone quite as far as the dynamic pricing yet, at least according to this piece.
It is an interesting story because you take the dynamic, real-time dynamic pricing out of it. It's friggin' genius.
Sure. Yeah, no issues with that. Yeah.
You add dynamic pricing into it, and then all of a sudden it feels somewhat sinister, and then it has you questioning every piece of technology that at one point seems genius.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before, if that gets implemented, that somebody puts a GoPro across the aisle from something that's really, really commonly used just to watch how often, or will we get trackers? So like websites that track prices at different places. I don't know, but 100 times a day seems aggressive with your price changes.
Or you've got your cell phone on you. It has your financial data. It knows what you can afford. and then it changes the price to a higher point because you're a bigger target. Oh, that's too dark. I gotta go. That's
What if
drinking lunch.
what if you can use your phone to capture the price of the item, the time that you took the item off the shelf to
Oh.
lock in that price?
Then it feels like Black Friday. People just rush and it's like, I want the London broil.
Everybody just hovering around bacon, waiting for it to go down.
Stay getting money.